I get asked all the time, what is the best design for an infinite banking policy to use for real estate? So I figured we would do a video all about designing a policy that works best for real estate. There's not just one design, there's a lot of factors which we're gonna go through in this video, but I want to really dissect the best way to use this concept, use the machine, so that you can start in real estate and get all the money you're losing today. So the time is now for you to learn how to use the infinite banking concepts for real estate. My name's Chris Naugle, and this is What Now, What's Next. See you on the inside. So the first thing I want to do is talk about real estate for a second. So I've been a real estate investor for a long time, and I know a lot of you are, and you all will probably agree, real estate is one of the best investments there ever has been. More millionaires have been made by real estate than any other investment. So it's worthy to talk about real estate, but you know what? There's a lot of problems with real estate. People don't know when to buy real estate. They buy too high because they get excited. They don't know the right strategies to use, and they don't understand that the money in real estate is always made on the buy, not so much the sell. But putting all that aside, when it comes to the infinite banking concept, we all have to understand what is the infinite banking concept. The infinite banking concept is a process. It is not a product. A lot of people think the infinite banking concept is this thing we're going to talk about in a second, a specially designed and engineered whole life insurance policy. The specially designed and engineered whole life is an important piece to the infinite banking concept, but it's only the machine that we use for the infinite banking concepts because we need somewhere to run our money through. So what are the options? Let's think about it. Where do you put your money now? You get paid and you put your money in what? The traditional bank. So let's talk about that real quick. Why do you use the traditional bank? Number one, you have liquidity. So if you put money there, let's just say for real estate, you're saving up to buy some real estate or for the down payment. You can easily take the money out of the bank, write a check, do a wire, right? It's all pretty easy from a bank account. And why else do you use a bank account? Because that's what you've been told to do. Well, that's the lie you've been told. Because the bank does not serve you. You serve the bank in a roundabout way, because when you give the bank your money, the bank makes your money go to work for them. And you feel good because you think that it's nice, safe, and cozy. Which, in a roundabout way, I guess maybe it is or it isn't. It depends on how much you've actually researched the FDIC insurance fund. Now, if you've researched it, you know your money isn't safe at all because there's no money in that vault anymore. So what do we need to do? We need to find a better bank account, right? We need to find a better place to do our banking. Well, therein steps this solution. So let's go back to the actual definition of what the infinite banking concept is. The process of taking back the banking functions in your life. Now, I know you don't know what that means yet, but what if I told you all we need to do to change your entire financial future is change just one thing, and that is where your money goes first. Stop putting it in somebody else's bank and start putting it into your bank, and that's where it starts. You got to take back control of your money. This machine, the specially designed and engineered whole life we're going to talk about, is the machine to do just that. But why? Well, we're going to get into the whys and why you should use this, because I know what you've been told.
Oh my God, a whole life policy. Dave Ramsey and Susie Orman said that's the worst place you could ever put your money.
Right? That's what I've heard. And heck, as an advisor for 16 years, I was always told, buy term, invest the difference. Why would that be? Probably because term insurance is the most profitable product that insurance companies have. They have to pay out on less than 2% of all the claims, period. You outlive the term insurance 98%, or actually more than 98% of the time. So if you were the insurance company, what product would you tell your brokers and agents to sell? Term insurance. And then what would you tell them to do? Well, we don't want to give any of that control back to the people, so let's control the money that they don't spend on the term cost, and let's invest that. Buy term, the most profitable product for the insurance company, and invest the difference, which, oh, by the way, I managed and I got paid to do. So let's change the whole dynamic of how you think about money. And let's do that with the single solitary goal of buying real estate, the greatest investment that there is. And let's explain how you would design a policy to do just that. Because all we're doing, folks, we're not reinventing it. The policy is not an investment. It's guaranteed by the insurance company, okay? There's a contract. We can't call it an investment because an investment involves risk. The real estate you're gonna buy, now that's the investment. The policy, it's just a better place to store your money than the traditional bank. And here's why. Now's the time for you to like and subscribe to this channel. So click that little red subscribe button, the one at the bottom, and hit the little alerts button so that you get notified every time I put a new video up. Let's come over and look at these numbers. So I'm gonna use one of the designs from one of the insurance companies that we use a lot, but I chose the company that I feel works the best for real estate. Why? It has a lot of cash value in the early years. And this company allows the flexibility of the design to work really favorable if we were trying to stuff a lot of money in and not put a whole bunch of money in each and every single year there on out. Now, why would we not want to put a whole bunch of money? Well, if you're a real estate investor, your livelihood comes with cash flow. Okay? Money comes in from the sale of a property. Money comes in from rent rolls, whatever you're doing, but we get big chunks of money in real estate investing. So all I do is I show just a standard example of somebody putting $100,000 of dump-in money. Now, what does that mean? Let me give you an example. A dump-in would be you've got 100 grand sitting in the bank account. Let's just pretend that 100 grand is in your right pocket. Okay? And then you hear about this better place where that 100 grand could go, where it pays you a much higher guaranteed interest rate, plus it pays you dividends every year, plus it's tax-free growth. Now that's way better than a bank account. So you hear about this and you say, hey, I got 100 grand that I'm gonna use for my next real estate deal. How about I change one thing and I take it out of my right pocket and I put it in my left pocket. My left pocket is the dump-in into the specially designed and engineered whole life. I just want you to understand that that's the dump-in. Now, the $10,000 that we're gonna put in each year represents, maybe it's your rent roll, okay? Maybe it's your income, maybe it's the amount of money you wanna save, but it's a little bit of money that every year we're gonna put into that specially designed whole life. So now that you understand the complexities of how we're gonna fund this, and there's nothing complex about it, all we're doing is changing one thing, and that is where our money goes first. So let's dive into it. Why is this design? The design, by the way, is called the Slayer. That's just our internal name. You know, we come up with names for our designs because we've got several designs that work really good for different things, and we just called this one the Slayer. And it's with a mutually owned insurance company that has paid dividends in excess of 100 years, never missing one, never even skipping a beat. Sound good? That's better than the bank that you're putting your money in, probably. So we put 100 grand in all up front, and then we have 10 grand that we can put in each year. So year one, we put $110,000 into the policy, represented right there. So I just wanna quickly go through it. We got our premium, that's how much we're gonna put in each year. Then we got our cumulative premium, how much you put in over time. Then what we've got is our non-guaranteed cash value. Non-guaranteed, the reason I write that is that includes the dividend. The dividends are not guaranteed. Now I did say this company, for well in excess of 100 years, have paid dividends consecutively each and every single year. They've never even missed a year. So I'm only gonna show you the non-guaranteed because, hey, if they've never missed a year, why would I assume they're gonna miss a year next year or anytime in the next 30 years? But you have to know that the dividend, which is a component of this, is not guaranteed. The total interest rate and dividend that I'm paid on this particular policy as of 2023, when we're doing this video, is 5.2%. Now, how does that compare to your bank? Pretty good, huh? Is your bank giving you 5.2%? Probably not. Okay. So we got our non-guaranteed cash value. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna show the cash value on how much it builds each and every year. Now let's just pretend for this column, we never take the money out. We just let it keep building up. So the next column, what I did is something a little different. I show you net of all cost, net of the cost of the death benefit, net of the cost of the load fee on the PUAs, which I'll explain PUAs in a second, don't you worry, and net of the policy service fees. That's right, this is true net of all costs. I'm going to show you the yearly increase to that cash value. So in other words, the first year you put in 110, you've got 103 of the 110 to use. Some of you are like, well, that sucks. A bank would give me 110 because I put 110 in. Right, so that's the downside. In the first year, you're not going to have every penny that you put in. Oh, boo-hoo, I know. So just stick with this because you're going to understand why that's not really such a big deal. Because when you understand compound interest, you're going to understand how this thing is way better than any bank account you'll ever find. But then the second year, you put $10,000 in, that's your premium deposit, and we can take $10,691. Now, do you notice that that's $691? That's more than what you put in. Well, that's right, because you're compounding on $110,000, and now you're compounding on $120,000. So yeah, you got $691. It was your gain that year, which represents a cash-on-cash return. The cash-on-cash return is 6.9%. Simple math. You put 10 in, you can take $10,691 out. That's a 6.9% cash-on-cash return. That's how we figure out returns in real estate. Every year we put money in, and we know what our return is that year. Got it? There's two types. There's cumulative return, which we'll look at. I put X amount of dollars in, and I've got X amount of dollars in the policy, and you basically figure the return out there. That's called cumulative. But in the infinite banking concept, we really want to focus on the cash-on-cash return. Because the goal is not to put the money in the account and just leave it sit there. The goal is to put the money in the account, find a real estate deal, take the money out of the account, buy the real estate, and make money twice, not just once. So let's keep going. The third year, you put 10 grand in. We can take $12,777. Now, do you see where this is getting really good? Sure, you didn't have all of what you put in the first year, but now look what it's doing. Now this year we made $2,777, and we're only in the third year. That's a 27.7% cash-on-cash return. Look at how good this gets. 10 goes in, 580 comes out, 35.8% cash-on-cash. The fifth year, you put 10 in, my gosh, you could take 14,310. Some of you are thinking, well, that sounds too good to be true. I mean, come on, that's a 43.1% cash-on-cash return. How can that even happen? Folks, it gets really easy. It's called math. Maybe you learned it in first, second, third grade. Some of you, maybe it was sixth. I don't even know what they teach you these days. Maybe it's in, the senior year they actually teach you how to do this, but it's simple mathematics. It's called compound interest. And the best part about this policy is whether this money's in the policy or taken out and put into real estate, we get to earn compound interest uninterrupted. I'll get into why that is. But really just look at these numbers. Here in the 10th year, we can no longer put 10 in. We can only put 8902 in, but we make 18,000. That means on the 8902 we put in, we make $8,159, which is 103% return cash on cash. And I know you're getting sick of the numbers, but the 15th year you put in only 3,500. That's right, you can't continue to put any more than 3,500 in. But look at this, we take out 16,000. So if you subtract the 16 from the 35, you made only 360% that year. It just gets better and better, folks, but that's because of compound interest. Every year you're earning interest. Every year you're earning dividends. And every year you're earning interest and dividends on the interest and dividends from the prior 2, 4, 10, 15, 20, 30 years. That's how this works. So this is a better place to store your capital. So now, if you're really asking yourself, well, what's the downside? Well, the downside we already hit. The downside is in the first year you put 110 in and you only have 103,661 you can take out. That's 94%. You lost money. That's right. You lost money, but what did you get for that loss? Well, you see, if you were to die in the first year, your beneficiaries, okay, whoever you put down as your beneficiary, would get $1.934 million. $1,934,982 would be paid out tax-free to your beneficiary, your wife, your children. Well, you can't leave it to your cat or dog, but you get the drift. So why did you lose? Because you've got a death benefit, folks, and this is a very important piece to this. Now, the death benefit is made up of two things. Mr. Dave Ramsey should send us a thank you letter because we do use term insurance. Dave, listen, buddy, we know you love your cheap term insurance, and so do we. We used $1.525 million worth of term insurance in this design. Why? Well, because the term was cheaper death benefit than the whole life death benefit. That's right. We only put $141,000 of whole life death benefit called your base. Okay? This whole life death benefit of 141 is called base. And I just want to kind of clarify that right now. So your base, which represents 35% in the Slayer design of your $10,000, your base, which is the death benefit hybrid, is 141. That's right. The rest is term insurance. Yes, Dave. Yes, we did it. Okay. Now, where does the rest of the money go? It goes into what's called a paid up additions rider. I want you to think of this as like each year, we're going to put 55%. It's actually 65 in the design, but we lose 10% because we got to pay for that pesky cheap term. That term insurance is costing us $1,098. That's a true cost. You're literally losing $1,098 every year for this $1.9 million term rider. But the good news is we only keep the term rider on for the period of 8 years. After the 8th year, we drop the term. We don't need it anymore. Your death benefit drops significantly, but now we don't have to pay the insurance company $1,098. So this thing gets really efficient. So the PUA is what makes this thing really hum. This is where all that early cash value comes from. I want you to think of the PUA as if we were to just draw a picture here really quick, if you could just let me do my art skills, of a rocket ship. I want you to picture of a SpaceX rocket. Right, here we go. There's your rocket, and these are your boosters. So is that what a rocket looks like when it's sitting on the tarmac there waiting to take off? No. It's got these big booster rockets on the sides, doesn't it? Yeah, the booster rockets. These are paid up additions. And we're going to put these paid up additions on the policy for a period of no more than 10 years. Because when this thing blasts off into space, the paid up additions are what give us all this early cash value. But as we get off into space, we no longer need these. Just like the SpaceX rocket, when it gets into orbit, it drops these rockets, these booster rockets, they come off. And then he floats these things down to the ocean and lands them. Now, we're not going to float them down. We're just going to get rid of them, okay? We don't need these anymore because now the base of your policy, which is roughly 35% in this one, right here, is the most efficient, and that's what all this growth is. So you can see here, this is 10-year to 15-year, but after the 10th year, we drop the PUAs, and after the 8th year, we drop the term. Hence, why this drops from 10 to 89, and then in the 10th year, why it drops from 89 to 3,500. You can see if we did it from a percentage, we drop 55% in the 10th year, and we drop roughly 10% in the 8th year, which is the term rider. Is that too many numbers for you? You're probably saying, well, why is this the best for real estate? We're going to get into that in just a second, but I wanted to explain all these things so you know how we design these. Because a lot of people say, oh, the best design out there is 90%, the most amount to the paid up additions and the least to the base. If I designed this 90-10, this policy would have met, which means all these beautiful gains, all of these wonderful gains that we just talked about, yep, you'd have to pay tax on all of them. So to not pay tax, we have to design this very strategically to fit into the MEC rules. It's called the MEC 7 pay rule. And this is just an IRS rule of how much death benefit we need for how much premium we're putting in. A 90-10 would never work for this particular design. So now what we're going to do is we're going to buy some real estate. Pay attention, this is where the fun stuff really kicks in. We want to buy ourselves a little bit of real estate, all right? So let's just, I don't know, let's just say you found yourself a real estate deal and you need 100 grand. I don't know, I know that's tough, but just imagine you live in the east side of Buffalo, New York, and you found yourself a really sweet deal, kind of a slumlord kind of place at 100 grand, but you found one. Great. So we put 110 in, and we have 103 we can use. So now what we're going to do is we're going to then take 100,000 from here, okay? So we're going to take 100 grand, and we're going to come over here, and we're going to buy this property for 100,000 bucks. Got it? Now, if we took 100,000 from 103, how much is left? Some of you are looking at it saying, let's see, with that math class, let's see, 103, 661 minus 100. Oh, 3,661's left. Right, that's how much would be left in your traditional bank account, right? But you see, in this policy, when we take 100,000, we're not even taking our money. No, no, no. The insurance company is going to lend us some of this awesome death benefit that we put on the policy. That's right. So if we take 100 grand, we're going to subtract 100 grand from the death benefit. So now if you die, you have $1,834,982. Do you see what we did? We took the cash value loan from the death benefit, but we didn't take any of our money, which means our money gets to do this beautiful thing regardless of how much we take out. Now you really feel like you found the fountain of wealth, right? You literally found a way to save money and use money at the same time without affecting any of the interest and dividends. Yep. That's called uninterrupted compound interest. Now the downside is the insurance companies don't operate for free. That 100,000 that you borrowed against your death benefit, they're going to charge you interest. How much is interest? Well, it goes anywhere between 4 and as much as 6%. 4 to 6% in loan interest, okay? So that's how much money they're going to charge you to use part of your death benefit. And then they're going to use 100,000 of your cash value as collateral. But that doesn't affect your growth. So now let's just do the math. If you have to pay 4 to 6% and you do it in the first year, well, that's again a loss. So now you got the property, but then the second year, you made 6.9 cash on cash. So take that from the loan interest, no big deal. 27, you got to give back 4 to 6%, no big deal. 35, 43, 101, 360, 460. Are you following me? Does it really matter that the insurance company's charging you interest when they're paying you more interest than what they're charging you? I hope you understand that, because if you don't, rewind and watch this whole thing again. Remember, our money is still earning interest and dividends, uninterrupted, which is why our money grows, and which is why right here I circled it, the fourth year, the amount we put in, 140, and the amount we have, we've now made more than what we put in. And we will never go backwards. It took 4 years to have a cumulative positive return, okay? And here we made $709 in 4 years. Some people would say that that's crappy. But wait a second. You got to use the money every single year to go out and make more money without interrupting any of this. And now for the rest of your life, you get to earn interest on that money. Look at this. 150, you got 155, 196, 238. I mean, how far down the 30 years you put in 266 and you got 650 and you got to use all of that money without interrupting the interest? Now do you see why the wealthy use this? Now do you see why you should use this to buy real estate? Because if you do, you're making money twice. So that real estate deal that we bought over here, let's go to the next page and let's have some fun. All right? So remember, we bought that awesome slumlord piece of real estate in the east side of Buffalo, and we paid, you probably got a broken window too, I'm just saying. You paid $100,000 for this, and this thing, even though you paid 100 grand, you rent it out for $1,000. Not too shabby. So the $100,000, that came from a loan from your life insurance, right? From your specially designed whole life. That's what this 100 grand was. And now, here's where the infinite banking concept kicks in. We've only talked about the machine, which is the whole life. But now let's talk about what we need to do next. I want to reiterate the numbers. You see how good these numbers are? Wouldn't these numbers be even better if you actually took whatever money you make on your awesome real estate deal? This is your rental, okay? And if you take this 1,000, now you might have to live on that. So let's just figure out, I don't know, how I would do it is I would figure out a return on the 100,000. I would charge probably 6%. So 6% on $100,000, well, what is that? $6,000 a year, $500 a month, okay? Give or take. So now we've got $500 net. This is how much money we get to go do whatever we want. But I wouldn't do whatever I want. I would take this money, okay? I would take all of this money, the full 1,000, but you can do whatever you want. And I would take that money and I would put that money back to repay the loan. Because every time I send the net, the 500 or the full $1,000 back to my policy to repay the loan, that money's mine to use again. Whether it's 500 a month or 1,000 a month, that's rental. You didn't have to work any harder for that. That's your property that you just bought with your policy, earning rental income, making a net of $500, and you're recapturing the 500, which means every single month, $500 is back in your account, available to be used, and you're paying less interest on that. This policy design works incredibly well for real estate because the simple fact that the policy has extremely high cash value in the first year, 94%. So this works incredibly well for buying real estate. Any design in the infinite banking space will work for buying real estate. This one just happens to be what I feel is the best design, short-term and long-term. Now, the other thing people are always saying to me, and I'm going to finish with this, they're always saying to me, well, why would I keep putting premiums in this? Isn't that stupid? Do I have to keep, when can I stop making premium payments? Okay, let's just cover that really quick, because that's kind of like a swear word to me, because the thing I'm not quite understanding is, let's just say you could stop putting money in anytime after the 10th year. Let's just do the math. So year 10, you got to put $89.02 into the policy in premium. And you're like, I don't want to do that anymore. Great, you can stop paying. You can stop putting that $89.02 in premium deposits in. However, that $89.02 generated $18,159. Now, can you just grab your calculator and do this with me? Because I want to just make sure I'm not crazy in thinking this. So if we take right here, we take $18,159, 18,159, okay? And we subtract the premium we put in, $8,002. That means we made a net of $9,257, okay? You guys follow me. All I did is I subtracted the yearly cash value growth from the premium I put in. So hold on a second. You want to stop putting money in the policy? Great. Are you crazy? Seriously, like, are you not doing the math? Because if you put $8,902 in, you get to take out $9,257 in gain, net of cost of insurance, net of policy service fee, net of all costs. Your $8,902 grows by $18,159. Why in the world? Matter of fact, how about this? How about I lend you the $8,902 because you don't want to make the premium. I'll lend it to you. I'll collateralize it with your policy and a collateral assignment. And then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to say to you, hey, listen, let's just split the gain. That's right. Let's just split the gain. So I paid your premium for you, which I technically can't, but I'm just saying, let's just split the gain, divided by 2. I just made $4,628.50 by loaning you $8,902. So let's figure out what my return was. I made 52% on my money in a year or less. Folks, sign me up. How many of you want me to pay your premium payments? Because I'll do it. And then you're just going to split the gain that year with me. Now do you understand why you would never ever stop making premium deposits? You'd actually have to, I think, truly, if you wanted to stop making premium payments and you didn't understand what we just did there, I would go get evaluated for psychiatric help. I'm not trying to be rude here, but like seriously, like either go learn math again or get some help. Or just call me and give me half of the gain that year. I mean, I'd be perfectly fine with that. This seems to me like a much better place to store your money for real estate than a traditional bank or a money market fund or anywhere else. By the simple fact of what we just walked through. Folks, I hope you really enjoyed this episode of What Now, What Next, because I just showed you how to unlock one of the biggest secrets in the financial space, and that is how to take back control of your money. And not only that, how to earn uninterrupted compound interest while you're doing that. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks for joining. Hey, if you liked this video, check this one out. I worked really hard on that one to teach you exactly what you need to do to get prepared. And we'll see you there.